Okay, Wolf 190D back with a campaign update. German campaign started in 1890. The current year is 1913, I do believe. And I just unlocked the first of the large armored cruiser hulls. So you're looking at 20 plus years in, depending on how you push your campaign. But anyway, this is a good look at one of the first of the updated German cruiser hulls. So let me go ahead and see. What do I want to do? Well, it's already at the minimum. And the optimal speed is 25 and a half knots. So I had done a stopgap design on the old Armored Cruiser 2 hulls. You can see these guys here actually. Still using that nasty design that you start off with. So as you can see, the new, and this looks like it's going to be called the Admiral Scheer class. So I'm going to put him at 25 knots and go with my geared turbines, auxiliary 1. I think I'm going to leave the beam and the draft alone. Yeah, I'll leave the beam and the draft alone. But set the bulkheads to standard, set the crew quarters to standard. More crew means better combat performance. If you set it to cramped, as you take crew losses, it tends to really affect the performance of your ship. Right? We do have propeller shafts, and I am starting to shift over to electro-hydraulic steering. Now this does increase your percentage of ship flaws. However, if your research is up to scratch, you should have more than enough ship flaw reduction on your research tree to go ahead and reduce that. So let's see here. What do we want to do? Decisions. 10. That's 11. So it's really not much of an increase for almost another 100,000. Let's see what this guy looks like. Now with my towers on these broken deck ships, I generally like to move that back a little bit. And the beam is pretty wide on these guys, but we'll see how they do in combat. So I'll go ahead and put the advanced 1 with an advanced rear deck. I think I like that idea. Alright, go ahead and plop that down. Now, let me see here. Funnels. What do we get with 2 gross funnels? Oh yeah, we'll get plenty. Gross funnel 2 seems to work. Let's see what gross funnel 1 will do. If I can get my controls to work here. And for those of you that are new to the game and you're wondering how to get the micro adjust things, you just hold the little control key. That'll do it pretty nicely. Okay, it's a pretty good tower setup there. Okay, so for main guns, now with these upgraded cruisers, you have a couple of options. The 8-inch guns have been proving very effective on my cruiser hulls. After a certain point, I move off the 7s and start moving up to 8s. At some point, you can actually go all the way up to 11-inch guns on cruiser hulls. So for this guy, let me see here. It's actually a pretty significant accuracy increase. It looks like, oh, hell, almost 10%, 9%. And that, of course, is going to be affected by other things that you decide to do. So, oh, I do have Krupp 2 armor now as well. And I do, if you're wondering on more specifics as far as research, I do have a line of videos that focus specifically on the tech tree. They're shorter videos, they're much more condensed, and I do try to give you a heads up as to, especially for research planning, as to what comes up where. Okay, so let's see here. Main guns. Do I want to go with 8s or do I want to start moving up to the 9-inch guns? It's a lot better penetration too, and the accuracy. Well, at 5,000 meters, the 8-inch guns at 5,000 meters actually hold an accuracy edge. But out past that, getting into the 75, well, no, the 8-inch guns are more accurate at longer range. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to do a set of 8s actually. Barbettes. Yeah, let's go ahead and push this one all the way forward. And it's part of the problem with ship hulls that have these really weird breaks on them is that they can get kind of, oh, and I can only put a barbette on the rear end. This might call for some creative designing here. I thought I had access to 2 barbettes. And none of these other barbettes are going to work up here, are they? No, that foredeck doesn't do good with barbettes, it looks like. So, I'll have to stop and think on that. But as you can see, it really just requires a medium barbette at the minimum. Medium barbette for small guns. This superimposed guy, that's a little big. So, gonna save a little bit of weight and a little bit of target signature, maybe. Yeah, that'll work nicely. So, to copy turrets that you have, you simply hit the press the middle mouse button on the turret you want to copy, and then go ahead and set them out. All right, so this I'm going to move. Wow, all the way forward there, huh? Now what I could do is I could do 2 of these set forward just flat, and one of them won't have as good of a firing arc. I'm going to go ahead and do my 2-inch casement guns in these turrets. And these guys, if you're wondering why they don't position, well, they're not going to position at all. Okay, well, let's go ahead and nix those. Because they're not doing anything up there. And then some more 2-inch on the rear tower. And the 2-inch guns really are mostly for destroyer deterrent. So with this, let's see here. I'm going to put that all the way forward like that. It'll give it a really good arc of fire. Minus around that turret, of course. And I might wind up putting like a secondary gun up there. Do I want torpedo launchers on this? Not really. I'm kind of actually starting to move away from the torpedo launchers on my cruiser hulls. Crop armor, and go back and put barbettes on there now that I have a turret. So yeah, you have to place 5-inch and up in order to mount barbettes. Let me go ahead and finish up with my guns real quick. What was working for this? Same accuracy. Now the 2-inch guns are much more accurate, but I'm also starting to upgun from that as well. However, a lot of 2-inch guns seem to work really well against destroyers, so that is on the flip side. And I think for casements, I'm going to go ahead and mount the large 5-inch casements in the hull on this thing. And I still have a really bad forward weight offset, so I might actually, want to do something about that. Now, what I can do is move these turrets on the rear further back, and that might be what I go ahead and do, just to, first of all, give them a better fire arc. I mean, it's going to lengthen the the main belt a bit on the stern, but it also. Now, how did that worsen the forward weight offset? Oh, it's probably because of these 5-inch guns in the bow. Tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and take those out. There we go. And I'm going to mount those as far back as I can. Let's see here. The fire arcs are pretty good on that. This I'm going to bring back a little bit, actually. It'll just give this one a better fire arc. Okay, now for secondary gun turrets. Now, I think what I'm gonna try, because I've got 8s, I've got 5s, and I've got 2s. You don't want too many different gun calibers on your ships. That can really adversely affect performance. So let me see here. If I take a 2-inch gun, 2-inch turret, and tuck it in back here, that'll give him anti-destroyer capability. And actually, if I move this back, I might be able to get another one in, tuck it in right there like that. There we go. Now the question is, do I want to face it to the fore or face it behind, so that face this one behind actually. And R&T, you can always use R&T to rotate turrets. Yeah, that's not going to move back anymore. So, equipment, I'm going to go with the coincidence 2s. And that was a little weird. Give him a hydroacoustics. I've unlocked this in the ASW part of the tech tree. And advanced radio, and I've actually started equipping heavy cruisers with some depth charges. It gives your fleets more ASW capability. Plus, as I'm building sort of a balanced cruiser, multi-purpose, general purpose cruiser here, what I am also trying to do is make ships that will also serve effectively on their own. You know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to scrap these 5s. And I'm going to go ahead and mount 4-inch casements with some 4-inch turrets. Alright, so. Now, what I do like to do sometimes is give the pyramid layout. So you'll notice if you stagger guns that you mount, you'll be able to improve their firing arc pretty significantly if you stagger them properly. And I'm going to go ahead and put that one there. So there we go. That gives us 8 4-inch double barrels. 8-inch, 2-inch, 4-inch. You know, I almost want to keep these 5s. I think I'll do that. I'll keep the 5-inch casement guns. And that gives us what? 1, 2, 3, 4 different gun calibers. So it's a fairly well balanced armament-wise ship anyway. For the main belt, again, I'm going to go with an 8-inch on the main belt. Now, what I've been doing so far, and it seems to, I have room for it, is I half again off of the mains on the fore and aft. So that's going to work for the deck as well. And I am starting to up armor my decks. I'm starting to come in contact. Is 2 inches going to be enough? Let's go 3 and 1.5. Okay, conning tower. Once again, the conning tower is going to be where your commander and stuff is. So try to go pretty heavy with those, if not the same as your mains, your main belt. I like to up armor that a little bit, and then I'm going to go 2 inches on the superstructure. Good, that leaves plenty. Now with the Citadel, I'm going to go 1 inch on the inner deck, and for the main inner belt, half again off, or the inner belt, the first inner belt, go half again off the main belt. It seems to be a pretty effective armor scheme. I might be a little light on the deck, but still at that era where deck armor is not as important as main belt armor. Most of your gun trajectories are still going to be pretty flat. Though there again, it is borderline. So as always, you know, with ship builds, you find a design that works, and you can always refit them later. Now, be aware with refits, you cannot adjust the displacement. Everything else, though, can be modified as you progress. Depth charges. Let me see here now for gun calibers. Before I go down and do that, let's check. I want nose fuse. We're going to go with standard ratio because you shoot a lot more armor-piercing ammunition out of these kinds of ships. Electro-hydraulic turrets. I don't much care for the complete electrical turrets because, well, they have a really bad fire chance debuff. Oh yeah, heavy shells. Like the heavy shells. All right, so semi-armor piercing shells would make this thing more of a light cruiser killer. So what I've started to do is start to look at least standard armor piercing. So at 5,000 meters, 10.5 inches, he might threaten, or she might threaten lighter heavy cruisers, but I'm going to want to go for a little bit more than that. So let's bump them up to capped armor piercing shells. And I'm looking at about 5,000 to 7,500 meter range as far as engagements are concerned. 13.5. So let me see. My armor quality is now at 100%. So if I want to threaten ships of a similar type, let's see here. 10.5 divided by 2, that's going to be 5.25. So really we're looking at light cruisers at that point. At 5,000 meters though, 13, cut that in half, that's 6.6. So that's pushing more up into the heavy cruiser range. We need a little bit more penetration. All right, so yeah, and see, we're still having to close pretty tight with them, but there again, we can always alter the gun scheme. Can always do that, and you know, I'm really starting to consider that I've got a little less than 2,000 tons. Maybe I do start moving him up into the 9-inch range. Well, let's see here. No, I'm going to leave the 8s alone for now. There's another thing that you can do other than heavy shells, because heavy shells will also increase your armor penetration. The gun length on these 8s are, the barrel length is L36, so 8 L36. If we max this out, they go up to 40s. The rate of fire drops down below 2 rounds per minute, which is kind of not ideal right now. But you'll notice that it does increase the range all the way out to 17.5 kilometers. But it does bring us up to about 6.2 inches of penetration at 7,500 meters. Now, be aware, lengthening your gun barrels also does, it does reduce your deck penetration because it flattens your trajectory. So one more thing I want to look at. I'm going to do a quick comparison. If I were to plop 9-inch guns on this thing, And remember, these 9-inch guns were pretty much what I started mounting on battleships. So yeah, you do reach a certain point technologically where it becomes advantageous. And the 8 inches are Mark IIIs, the 9 inches are Mark III. So every gun I can mount on this thing actually is going to be a Mark III. You know, 16, 14, that's 7 inches of penetration. Or 7.05 would be with this particular armor. So if the enemy ships are mounting Krupp 2 with a Citadel 2 at the very minimum, then you're looking at having to overcome a lot of that. So I'm going to stick with the 8s for now on this. I'm going to go ahead and stick with the 8-inch guns. I'm trying to keep the cost down for one. The 9-inch guns you can see, actually, the 9-inch guns are cheaper. Well, now how does that figure? Maybe it's because I've lengthened the crap out of the barrels on these 8-inch guns. 18.4. Let's see what that does real quick again. No, the 9-inch guns are more expensive. 830. Yeah, no, the 9-inch gun's more expensive. And see, sometimes it's not always it's not always straightforward to just look at, okay, what do I have here? The 9-inch gun's going to be more expensive. Probably because there's a lot more armor on a 9-inch gun as well. So I'm going to leave these 8 L40s on here. The 4-inch guns are 43s, so I'm going to bump them up to 45s and give them a little bit more accuracy. I don't know that I like that being at 1.63. Enhanced reload. Do I want the ballistite? Yeah, I'd rather have ballistite and TNT as far as my armaments, shell propellant and bursting charge. And let me see here. 2-inch guns, as always. The 2-inch guns, I just go ahead and push them to their maximum. Oh, good, and that fits back there. I was a little worried about that. You have to be careful with doing things like this because, well, you can over lengthen, and then they won't fit in these gaps anymore. Now, let me see something here real quick. Can I squeeze in a second? What happens if I do that? Can if I do this, that'll put 2 of those there. I have a really good arc of fire, actually. Reduces his arc of fire a little bit, but with the heavy cruisers, they tend to be a little bit more maneuverable. So let's see here, and I'm going to plop a pair of those down back there. There we go. That'll give some more, excuse me, that'll give some better anti-destroyer coverage. And then these casement guns, what's the rate of fire? I'm going to go ahead and max those out as well. Those 5-inch guns, bring them up to L46s. Drops them to 3.38 rounds per minute, but the accuracy, actually, it doesn't look like the accuracy did a whole lot. What did that do? 21.24 out to 21.25. It really doesn't look like it did anything. Okay, I'm going to leave those 5-inch guns alone then. It'll keep their rate of fire over 4.25 rounds per minute. Now the last thing I want to really consider with this is, do I want to move off of nose fuse shells? Maybe use more of these capped HEs, because I'm not really concerned with setting fires with this guy so much. That's going to bump him at 5,000 meters. He will punch holes in destroyers, actually, with his main guns. which is kind of what I would like. And then at close range, he's with HE shells is a threat to destroyers. If nothing else, you can switch over to AP. You can leave it on auto, and the gun crews will make their own decision based on what the target is as to what ammunition to use. But for this, I leave them on max HE shells anyway. And this is for the secondaries. So the main shells are going to do what they do. And yeah, even at 7,500 meters, he's going to be a threat to destroyers with HE shells. So, all right. Armor on the turrets. I think I'm probably just going to leave that alone. Can I increase the side armor on those Oh, yes. 18 million. Can I take him up to a ½ inch? I'll take him up to a ½ inch on the side for those 2-inch guns. That would be nice. And I think 1.4 is the maximum. So for some reason it sets at the maximum. It gives you the indicator that you can upgrade when you really can't. And these 8-inch guns, I'm going to maximize the barbette protection on those 8-inch guns. All right. And as you can see, I mean, this is the minimum that this hull will do is 13.5. So this is actually quite less than a minimal build. I've got another 1,500 tons I could mount on this thing, but it does give room for upgrades. And speaking of which, I'm gonna make this a heavier cruiser. I'm gonna go ahead and armor him up a little bit more. I'll leave that inner deck alone, but the inner belt, I'm gonna go ahead and drop 5 on the inner belt. Oh, nope, the inner belt will only go up to 4.5. And I think this actually is dictated by this. So the limitations on this is dictated by your main belt settings. And see if let's toy with that real quick. Yep, see, if I go to 10, I can go to 5, but I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to go back to 9, and oh, well, that's that was interesting. That got stuck at 5. Maybe it's a little hack, or maybe not so much a hack, but a break, a glitch in the game that you could maybe take advantage of if you really wanted to. All right, so that's the first of the large armored cruiser hull designs, and she should prove to be a most effective ship. But we shall see. I might find that these 8-inch guns are just not enough and have to upgun to some 9s. So. Thanks for stopping by. As always, like and subscribe, and hope to see you guys next time.